but I think there is surely sacrificing, so I think it is not good.
Okay, so I'm going to ask you another question. And you are the governor of the Czech Republic. I am the president of Philip Morris. And I still believe you should accept Philip Morris tobacco. Let me tell you why. Now, you say that people will die. But what I'm going to tell you is we don't want these people in the first place. It's just between me and you. These people who are smoking cigarettes, they're a troublesome, burdensome people of the Czech Republic. You want them to die. What you do want is the people who are well educated. You want to give them more money. Look at the Czech Republic today. Who gives a crap about the Czech Republic today? Now, what I'm telling you is, if you let us, Philip Morris, into your country, all of those unskilled laborers will smoke and they will die. You will be left with skilled laborers, highly educated people, and money to make them more educated. Within 50 years, the Czech Republic may be a very powerful country with a skilled labor force. What do you say? Let us in. Let us in. We're knocking on your door.
If I Japanese government, yeah, I think Japanese government needs these people to implement the foreign country, but
Okay. Yeah.
but Japanese government have which is important between non-smokers and smokers.
So unfortunately, Philip Morris cannot do business in the Czech Republic. That's okay. Let's take a look at the next case. But before we go on to the next case, does anyone support the Philip Morris plan?
Okay, I will change my.
You will change your plan.
Yes.
Okay.
I will agree with Philip Morris
because
in general, unfortunately, the smokers are very dull and lazy. my father is a smoker and very dull and lazy. So I think in Czech Republic case, I think the smokers are relatively not useful for the country or other people, and that's why these people should be sacrificed to other people. For example, less educated people. Sorry.
And in the long run, the lazy people will die. The hardworking people will survive.
Yes.
They'll have more children who are more educated and will have better access to services provided by the government. It seems like in the long run, we're saving more lives. Yes, we're killing a few smokers now, but in the long run, the Czech Republic looks pretty good. Does anyone agree with Yusuke? The Czech Republic should allow Philip Morris tobacco? Okay. So did you want to support Yusuke?
I mean, I think that Philip Morris should be able to come into the Czech Republic, but not because of his reason.
Not because of his reason.
Yeah.
What kind of reasons would you offer?
I think smoking is a choice, and like everybody's saying that they're gonna die if they smoke, but are they actually gonna die? I mean, what if they just want to smoke one cigarette per week? I mean, is that going to have such a big impact on their health? And I don't think it's not going to have that much impact. So.
But then the president of Philip Morris will no longer be able to talk about his gains, because these gains are coming from Philip Morris betting that people will die. This is Philip Morris, it's his bet. And Yusuke says, that's okay. Yusuke says that's okay because in the long run, the Czech Republic's gonna be doing good. That's what Yusuke's saying, right? So, Yusuke, I'm going to continue by asking you a different question. We're gonna move on to the Ford Pinto case. Now, Ford Pinto is a very, very old car. It was a tiny car. Think of like the tiny cars in Japan. And it had a very big problem. The problem with Ford Pinto was that the fuel tank was at the back of the car. Okay, so here's the car, here's the fuel tank, back of the car. If a car bumped into the back of a Ford Pinto, the Ford Pinto would explode. This was the problem. Now, Ford was faced with a very serious problem. It had 12.5 million Ford Pintos on the road. 12.5 million cars. If they recalled every single Ford Pinto and installed a metal shield to prevent the car from exploding, it would cost $137 million. Ford thought this was very expensive, so then they decided, what happens if we don't repair these Ford Pintos? Well, they said, well, we're going to have maybe 180 deaths. We might have to pay $200,000 in court, 180 injuries, $67,000, 2,000 vehicles. Oh, sorry, this should be in some odd millions, but in total it would come out to be $49.5 million. What the Ford Pinto case is saying is, if you repair all of these cars, it would cost $137 million. Whereas on the other hand, if you decided not to repair it, you would only have to pay the fines in court for 180 deaths and 180 injuries, which would come, and 2,000 vehicle repairs, which would come out to about $49.5 million. Ford made a very rational business decision that it would not repair these cars. Now, what I want you to tell me is not whether or not Ford should have done this, but whether or not it's possible for us to be putting a value on human lives. Should we be allowing companies to be valuing human lives? Should we let Ford Pinto say, oh, well, if that car explodes and that driver dies, we're going to have to pay $200,000 for his life, adjusting for inflation? Are we allowed, should we be allowing companies to judge and put a price tag on people's lives? Raise your hand if you think, well, yes, it's necessary. Companies should be allowed to put price tags on human lives. Raise your hand if you think, no, companies are not morally justified in putting a price tag on people's lives. Most people say no. So let's hear first from the people who say yes, companies should be allowed to put a price tag on human lives. Yeah. Quietness goes over. Okay. Then let's hear first from the absolute majority. Why should companies not be allowed to put a price tag on human lives? Okay, Marco.
Well, the point is, the Ford is comparing the price and the human lives, and I think that human lives are so important that we can't value, and so I think we can't put the price tag on the human lives because it's really, really important and have to be respected, and it's dignity or whatever. So we can't compare the price and human lives. That's my point.
You sound like MasterCard. There are some things that money can't buy.
Yeah.
So, Mako says that putting a price tag on human life goes against human dignity. Does anyone disagree? Does anyone say, well, we still need cost-benefit analysis? Okay.
I agree that human life is very important and cannot value. But in terms of a company, in view of company, we need to we cannot make any decision if we do not value human lives. We need some standard to make decision. So we need.
So what would be a good price tag in today's money for a human life? How much is a human life worth?
I don't know.
You don't know.
I don't know.
Well, let's take a shot at the ballpark. Do you think $1 million would be enough?